With AI and DePIN being two of the most explosive and high potential narratives of the bull run, and paired together, we really haven't seen the success of what this might bring to the market yet. It makes the most amount of sense, in my opinion, to find an altcoin hitting both of these extremely well. And of course, you'll click the title of this video. Render is one of those such altcoins. Now, do not be deceived by the high market cap of this project. Today, we are going to go over some of the facts that supports an amazing price prediction I have for the project in this bull run. I honestly think Render is about to shock the world, and you are going to need to know why. Do not forget, if you do find yourself at any point throughout this video enjoying it, or you've learned something new, you can help support all I do over here with a quick like on the video and also subscribing, so of course you can achieve your crypto goals. Now, one thing I'll point out is that obviously I'm in a different setup right now. I'm traveling, and also I forgot my microphone. So I'll be going and buying a new microphone today. But for this video, hopefully you do not mind with this slight audio change. But either way, I think getting into this, it's very obvious, and you should all know by now, that AI and DePIN have been, for the last few months at least, set as the power duo of the bull run. If you can find an altcoin actually hitting both of these with a pretty unique aspect, aka the meme, then you've got a winner. And of course, Render fits that perfectly. You can see this article that came out a few months ago, DePIN and AI positioned to be 2024's power duo. And it's not just, Cointelegraph or whoever, saying this, it's leaders in the space as well. Leonard, the co-founder of Peak Network, a key DePIN player, says the DePIN sector is set to blossom in 2024, which is inherently linked with the AI boom. This is one thing I'm, talking quite a lot about recently as well. The AI boom is similar to the dot-com boom way back in the early 2000s, and yet we have people out here still that forget that crypto is even more severe in terms of the multiples that can be made versus traditional markets as well. So we really haven't seen anything yet, which is why a lot of people do believe that the AI market in crypto is likely going to hit $1 or multiple trillions worth of value. Also, he said the DePIN AI combination is a match made in heaven and predicts 2024 will be the year that, quote, fundamentally changes the way that we manage and interact with AI-powered machines. Again, not just this, CoinDesk also has their own fair share of articles talking about AI and DePIN. And I mean, you go on any crypto YouTube channel and you will see them talking about this. Always check the view counts. It's some of the most basic stuff, but if you just have a look at the interactions and engagements on some of these topics and also individual altcoins, you begin to realize that, hey, if more people are interested in something, they're going to want to buy it more, which of course means that price will go up. And any of these, semi-decent Web3 projects like AL's network that looks to bring in the most amount of demand, one of the first things they'll have on their website is, hey, we're a DePIN AI project, check us out. So it's very free, easy marketing, and projects know this, so they do it. Now, of course, you should all know that I have ranked a lot of these narratives on my own research, on what VCs are buying, on what the big boys are looking at, and I've come to the conclusion that these 5 in somewhat of this order will be the highest ranking narratives of the bull run, and I haven't changed this for a while, and AI and DePIN are, of course, 1 and number 2. So, again, you can find a project like Render that might hit only those 2, and maybe arguably a couple other narratives, but it really doesn't matter. It hits those 2 so well and is so far ahead of the competition in that it's actually being used in the real world that honestly, this can take it to, tens, high tens, maybe even 3-digit billions of dollars worth of the market cap. Now, if we just have a look at the narrative index in the last 3 months, while AI and DePIN rank above a 60% growth rate on average, again, this is accumulated across the entire index of all these different altcoins. Now, I've left Bitcoin in there at the top because Bitcoin is ranked similarly to the highest ranking narrative, Science Finance, which I didn't even know was a real narrative in the first place, but this gives you some idea of the very, very top ranking narrative in the last 3 months versus these 2. So obviously they've been quite high in the past, and I think we'll see another surge very soon of these 2 narratives. So like I already mentioned moments ago, I think the inherent problem with the industry is that most people come into it wanting 100 or 1,000x coins, and that requires so much knowledge of the space, so much timing, and so much luck ultimately that they miss out on some very easy multiples with a project as quality as Render. I'll explain to you more in a moment. So the market cap being 3.5 billion over here, again, relative to those standards, seems quite ridiculous and out of reach. But you only have to be in the market for a cycle or two to begin to realize that this is very undervalued for what is, it actually doing, right? Render in the AI and deep in areas, focusing on distributed rendering. I mean, there is so much potential for this, particularly in this cycle, like I tried to, show you moments ago. So clicking the all chart, it does feel a little bit silly buying now. Clicking the 1 year chart, no matter what chart, apart from like the 1 month chart you look at, it just seems a little bit ridiculous buying now. And that's okay, because all you have to do is zoom out, which is the premise of my price prediction and what I'm about to show you. So it being in both these two narratives, I mean, you can argue it's a layer 1 project because it just utilizes Solana basically for settlement, just like Quant uses Ethereum. So it's really in more than just these two narratives, but we'll focus here because this is what is mostly known as. And again, as you can see, it's ranked very high on all of these lists, whether it's the AI and big data list, generative AI, or the, deep in total market caps, it's up there in the top, 4 or 5. So all I ask is if you're someone watching this video, praying and hoping that by the end of this video, I say Render's going to 3000x, I want you just to remember, please, we don't get too many of these chances in our lifetime to make pretty easy multiples, especially being relatively early right now to where we are going to be in the next 12 or 15 months. So look towards Render as a project that can still get you, amazing returns. And I don't want to kind of, allude to what I think the price will go to too early here. But again, it's just like you don't get this chance too often. So I would park this right in the 1 billion to 25 billion market cap range, right in where I think is a nice mixture of safety, yet still high multiples. And fundamentally, I believe it all comes down to looking at the macro rather than the micro. And what I mean by that is having a look and zooming out, not just in the next year or two for this bull run, but also zooming out till the 2030 bull run as well, or 2029 bull run. If you learn to leverage this bull run and follow what I call the multi-cycle compounding plan, where you take all the money you make over here in 2025, and then you compound those gains in, like, let's say 2028 to buy more Render with the profits you made at this cycle, you can, of course, then look to gain more overall in 2030. And if you follow this, right, so you sell all your positions in Render, in 2025, you come back into 2028 or sometime in the next bear market, and you buy as much Render as possible, and then, of course, you hold until 2030. I mean, there's a lot to be made. Now, I'm not going to spend the time going over the math in this video. I've done it right here. Go through it yourself and screenshot this and have a look. But I think realistically, you can very easily turn $3,500 into $240,000. And I say easily, and I really do mean that. A lot of you are, a little bit, and it does feel a little bit like that can't happen, right? So I understand that sort of hesitation towards such a crazy thing to say. But I do think that if you do this correctly and have a look at these numbers on your screen right now, I think Render can hit a $200 price tag in this bull run under the right conditions, let alone, of course, in 2030. So have a look, and it definitely beats the old crypto mentality, the doctrine of just hodl for eternity. Because if you just hodl until 2030 in the exact same setting, you end up 22xing overall, so you end up, getting more multiples out of the price, right? $9 into $200 sounds better than turning $9 ultimately into 70 and then 70 into 200. However, what actually happens is you don't, grow your gains overall, right? Your profit at the end of the day, which means that you end up taking home $77,000 if you hodl versus $240,000. So that's over a 3x difference in terms of your overall revenue if you just simply look out, zoom out, and look to, from little things, big things grow, all right? So start small and get bigger. Over, of course, a multi-cycle strategy. So we're going to begin the sort of fundamental breakdown of Render today in the simplest form is the deflationary aspect of the network. Now, Render is officially a network that you could almost say is disinflationary, right? So it's overall stopping the, progression of the inflation, right, with a deflationary aspect, a burn mechanism, if you will. And this is the model. I've touched on this on a recent video, and I might leave the links in the description, or just go to my channel and type in the search bar Render or No BS Crypto Render, and you'll find the video recently I spoke about how this model works. It'll take me a few minutes to do that today, so I'm not going to, for the exact reason I'm saving time for these videos. If you want the breakdown of this, I'll be putting it again in my private community. However, what I wanted to point out here was the fact that, again, follow me, of course, on Twitter, because you guys over on Twitter would have had this knowledge a few days back. But Render is, again, now disinflationary, and eventually it will hopefully become deflationary entirely, which means that the burn will eclipse any of the inflation which means the network supply will be decreasing rather than steadily increasing, okay? Right now, we're sort of chipping away at that. And you can see here the emissions versus burns so far since this new improvement proposal was added to the network via governance that we have slowly started to burn, right? We've, in this time over here, minted about 3 million Render tokens, and we've only burnt 49,000. But again, anything is better than nothing, and this is only the beginning, okay? So very good sign to see. First of all, that was a really good aspect. And overall, I must admit that this burn and mint equilibrium process that you're looking at right now is a fantastic way that Render is going to incentivize users to want to actually use the Render token itself. You can pay in USD, but at the end of the day, once your process and your job is complete, right, once the node or the GPU processes that and sends your job back for approval, you actually get airdropped some Render tokens for free, which of course allows you to then use that in the next job, reducing your overall cost. So I think overall the process is fantastic. It's completely decentralized via liquidity pools in crypto. So overall 10 out of 10, of course, there. Not only that, but of course these guys have a parent company called Atoy, which is the whole reason, well, I'll explain in a second here, that they're like literally bootstrapping themselves and fast-tracking themselves to success, because the parent company, which was founded again by Jules Urbach, the founder and creator of the Render network, it's just going to allow it to be actually adopted and used in the real world much faster than it would creating a brand new blockchain, making people feel like this is something new and special, and then going out and actually creating those connections. This takes a very long time to do, but of course, this is bootstrapping themselves for that success much sooner. You can see here that the Render network is partnered with the likes of Google, Microsoft, UFC, Netflix, Paramount, Star Wars, HBO, the NVIDIA Omniverse, which of course we'll touch on here momentarily. And Jules, the founder and CEO, again, is not shy of giving us hints when he can. This guy's very active in the Telegram channel. And if you go in there, I mean, he drops constant breadcrumbs, okay? So what is coming here could be a lot bigger than many of us expect. And recently, Rendoshi actually put a nice tweet out saying, or quoting this gentleman over here, which is Richard Keras, the VP of NVIDIA Omniverse, okay? NVIDIA Omniverse, just listen to this. I mean, let's just go ahead with this straight away. The power of NVIDIA Omniverse streaming to Apple Vision Pro is game-changing. The breadcrumbs always lead back to Render. So again, this guy is actually an advisor to Render and the VP of NVIDIA Omniverse, which is helping support Apple Vision Pro, okay? The power of NVIDIA Omniverse streaming to Apple Vision Pro is game-changing, a combination perfect for a multitude of enterprise use cases. Check it out. And then he himself quote tweeted, of course, Tim Cook, the current CEO of Apple. So guys, I think what we're dealing with here is a project beyond what we're currently capable of thinking of in crypto, because in crypto, our eyes are so focused on projects that like meme coins, right? They sound cool. They're not really being adopted. We just buy because it just sounds pretty awesome. This thing is on the cutting edge of what any crypto asset is capable of right now. So I think the upside here is amazing. Once a somewhat even decent announcement of one of these things is announced officially, it's just going to send the price skyrocketing. Again, this market in general could be multiple trillions in the bull run, with Render being right at the top. So again, they have some of these advisors I've already mentioned to you here. Ariel, the CEO of Endeavor, Sam, the ex-CEO of IBM, Eric, the ex-CEO of Google, and Brendan, the current co-founder of Mozilla. So, I mean, this is what I'm mentioning here. This all is to go with one of the most important business model philosophies online, which is network effects, right? We have all these different types of ways businesses can grow and ways that we can kind of get an idea of what that looks like on a chart. And network effects is one of the very, very best and most powerful. This is why the likes of any social application, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, this is why these all grow. They hit a point of critical mass once there is enough people using the network and people within people creating groups. And this, of course, creates a very strong defensibility of the project, a moat around the IP of the project, if you will. And again, thanks to Atoy, the parent company, it's fast-tracked Render, I believe, to success. We're only, I think, moments away from critical mass. Now, when I say moments, it might be a couple more years, but it's going to happen. So this is a very, very strong project, in my opinion. Now, like I mentioned, Google and Microsoft were two of those partners. And on the last year's NVIDIA GTC conference, Jules went up there. And again, Jules is actually quite close with the founder of NVIDIA. And he said on this panel that Part of the reason why they partnered with Google, quoted from Google, is that Google is bringing A2 instances to Render, which is game-changing for ultra-high resolution production, machine learning, and augmented rendering workflows, as well as the Microsoft partnership, saying that we're thrilled to be a part of Atoy's new render network and deliver enterprise-level hybrid GPU cloud rendering, So again, this is the true power here of leveraging a company like Atoy that is very well known in the rendering space. These guys were one of the very first to bring a distributed rendering application to the market. And so, of course, if you offer the underlying infrastructure as Render, this is, of course, going to be leveraged very quickly. And one last thing I'll say in regards to the fundamentals here is that Render obviously has quite a strong community. They're averaging about 2.7 million daily active interactions across the likes of Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, and so on, which is very, very high for the market cap it is, okay? To put it in perspective, Polkadot, which is a project that is like 3 or 4 times larger in terms of the market cap size. If we have a look at, Polkadot's market cap is 12 billion right now. Well, you can see these guys are averaging about 1.9 million daily active interactions, okay? So, yes, I'm kind of picking on low-hanging fruit with Polkadot. We all know Polkadot is a little bit lagging right now. But in saying that, it's the same thing across all other projects. Some might be higher in terms of their interactions, but when you compare the market caps and ratio that out, it's amazing how high Render is. And again, this all does play back into something special. To have a project prosper in this bull run particularly, you can forget about real use cases and adoption. That'll come in the next cycle, I believe. It does help with the idea of the project when people want to buy it, of course. But you have to have people wanting to be interested in the project, and this is like a sort of mirror into that, or a window into seeing that into the future, okay? So I'll save the breakdown of this next part here, mainly for the private community. Again, the reason I'm doing this is because I've had a lot of people comment recently saying, Kyron, stop your talking, get the videos nice and short. We just want to know what we want to know, okay? So if you want to learn more about these predictions and things like that, you can go to the private community and watch that video over there. So some realistic predictions I've done on Render here. I think $50 with a 5x from here is very realistic, right up to $300 on the very top side, of course, being just over a 30x from the current price. To put that into perspective, that's at a 401 million token supply, which is the forecasted supply excluding burning for the network. So I do think this is, of course, worst case. $50 or $200 can be obtained with a far less market cap size than what's proposed here, which is, of course, the reason why I actually think that Render could actually go to $300 under the right conditions. So $50 at worst, 20 billion market cap, $100 at worst, 40 billion market cap, and 200 being 80 billion. But again, a $300 token price would actually bring the market cap to about 120 billion worst case, which, again, I think that project can actually go to here. The way I roll things on the channel is all done via market dominance. This is a way that we can actually figure out if the global market cap is at a certain size, let's say, $10 trillion, and Render maintains its market share, beats its market share, or is currently underperforming its, current market share, what the market cap will roughly be for Render, and therefore we can backtrack that for the price. And this is an indication of what Render would have to go to in terms of the market dominance if it were to have a $100 price tag, aka a 40 billion market cap at worst case, okay, with all those tokens in supply. And at this situation, at a 3 trillion market cap, it'll have to have a 1.33% market dominance, right up to a 10 trillion market cap, being a 0.4% market dominance. And where we are right now, we're about a 0.15% market dominance, okay? So if Render, I think, doubled or tripled its current market dominance, which is very possible in a project's explosive all-time high, when all these narratives pop off at the same time, again, given these two very potent narratives, I think that Render could very, very easily obtain this goal, even if we come down here to a 6 trillion, 5 trillion, 4 trillion market cap. So all in all, again, if you want the full breakdown on this, it goes with, as much detail as we possibly can find in crypto. It is not the stock market. We don't have this 20, 50, 100 years worth of data to pull from to have a better indication. This, through all my research, is the best way we can have a glimpse into the future price of the project. And in my personal opinion, I could see Render having a peak market dominance of 2%, maybe possibly more, considering how unique it is in terms of what it does and the narratives it's in, meaning we could hit a $175 price tag, which is a 70 billion market cap. At worst, again, it could hit that with a lot less market cap size, depending on the tokens in supply, at a $3.5 trillion global market cap, which means we aren't too far off that. So all it would take for Render is to have a spout of demand, and hey, we could have a very serious, increase in price. So let me know what you think about Render and the project and these price predictions. Importantly, now don't get caught up on price predictions, guys. We can easily look at these and get set on those numbers. These things do change over the course of time. Render could be looking more like a $400 price prediction for all we know. So there is definite upside here. And I want to say, just because the market cap is, again, in respects to your personal perception of a quality or a low project or a high potential project, it seems quite high. But I think if you zoom out and have a look at where it is, it might surprise you. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you all very soon. Take care. Bye.